primary focus to this group was the spiritual development of its members, the pursuit to contact one's own higher self or holy guardian angel, a facet of divinity the group claimed existed within each individual. Drawing heavily from Rosicrucianism, they sought inner transformation, alchemy, universal knowledge through Christianity, Hermeticism, and mysticism. The birth of the Golden Dawn came when William Wynne Westcott, William Robert Woodman, and Samuel Liddell Mathers declared themselves its chiefs and devised its basic structure over 1887 to 88. The trio were all Freemasons and members of the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, an organization founded in 1866 that was devoted to Rosicrucianism. Westcott took the early lead in the Golden Dawn's formation, although Mathers would exert a greater influence over its eventual direction. The order measured their spiritual progression using the 10 grades of Sephiroth in Kabbalah. The Sephiroth is the concept of God's infinite, unknowable nature, expressing itself through 10 distinct attributes. And the Kabbalah is more of a tradition rooted in Jewish mysticism that takes its knowledge from libraries and historical texts. 4 of these grades were open to all Golden Dawn initiates, and 3 more to members of the Inner Order, while the final 3 were largely deemed the preserve of the secret chiefs. The ascent of the initiate through these grades was symbolically mapped as an exploration of the 10 Sephiroth, which were linked not only to specific numbers, letters, and colors, but also to distinct cards in the tarot deck. The practice of magic was mostly reserved for the Golden Dawn's Inner Order. The term magic has long carried varied meanings in European history, but as conceptualized by the group, it referred to rituals intended to pursue the great work. These rituals often stressed the significance of the magician's own will to enact change in the universe, and sometimes involved the magician either invoking the powers of a deity into or from within themselves. With this emphasis on personal development in the great work, the Golden Dawn's conceptualization of magic differed from many earlier forms of ceremonial magic, which commonly focused on compelling a spirit to do the magician's bidding, usually for material gain or self-serving purposes. Members of the Golden Dawn, in contrast, saw their magical endeavors as being in service to loftier spiritual ideals. While most existing occult organizations focused on holding lectures on esoteric topics, the Golden Dawn was pioneering both in providing a practical curriculum and in facilitating the communal performance of rituals explicitly labeled as magic. The group's ceremonies were devised largely by Mathers, who developed his system based on extensive knowledge of older ceremonial magic and grimoire traditions, as well as tarot, astrology, alchemy, and Kabbalah. The religious worldview of the Order of the Golden Dawn drew on a wide range of influences. As with Freemasonry, its members did not have to be Christian, although they were expected to believe in a supreme being and hold an interest in Christian symbolism. At the same time, the group's rituals referred repeatedly to various pre-Christian deities, especially of Egyptian origin. Leaders of the Golden Dawn sought to integrate such traditions as Christianity, Hermeticism, Neoplatonism, Kabbalah, and ceremonial magic into a single cohesive system. In this, they followed the synthesizing approach pursued by European esotericists since the Renaissance. The Golden Dawn was organized through lodges bearing the names of ancient Egyptian deities. The first was the London-based Isis Urania Lodge, launched in 1888. Over the coming decade, 4 more lodges appeared, the Osiris Lodge, Weston-super-Mare, England, the Horus Lodge, Bradford, England, the Amun-Ra Lodge, Edinburgh, and the Ahathor Lodge, Paris. Seekers interested in the movement received initiation into these lodges, within which they then could proceed through 4 additional grades. The Golden Dawn was open to women as well as men. It was similarly open to people of all classes, although a middle-class demographic dominated. Several hundred people became Golden Dawn members during its existence. By 1896, records for the 5 lodges indicate 315 initiated members, 119 of whom were women. Several of its most prominent initiates were involved in the arts, including the celebrated poet and dramatist William Butler Yeats, the actresses Maud Gonne and Florence Farr, and the writers of weird fiction Arthur Machen and Algernon Blackwood. Other initiates had prominent social connections, among them Oscar Wilde's wife, Constance Wilde, philosopher Henry Bergson's sister, and the tea heiress Annie Horniman. Perhaps the most famous initiate was the occultist Aleister Crowley, who was initiated in 1898. During the 1890s, Mathers cemented his dominance over the Golden Dawn. Woodman died in 1891, and Westcott resigned from active involvement in 1897. Several scandals rocked and fragmented the group in the early 1900s. Mathers's insistence on initiating Crowley into the Second Order, which he did in 1899 at the Paris Lodge, caused a rift with the Isis Urania Lodge that further increased friction in the Golden Dawn and precipitated its dissolution. In one dramatic episode, Mathers recruited Crowley to seize control of Isis Urania's Hammersmith premises, only for the situation to descend into legal wranglings. The Isis Urania Lodge subsequently broke from Mathers' authority, after which it split into 2 camps in the early 1900s. One group, the Christian-oriented Independent and Rectified Right, was led by Arthur Edward Waite until dissolving in the mid-1910s. The other, the Stella Matutina, was headed by the physician Robert William Felkin and persevered in New Zealand until 1978. Meanwhile, those followers who remained loyal to Mathers transformed their segment of the order into the Alpha et Omega in 1903. Led first by Mathers and then his wife, Moina, it continued until the 1930s. A continuation of dissolvement fell upon the order until it was no longer existed. The order was split into factions, causing temples to fracture, reorganize, and eventually dissolve. With ongoing public scandals and internal disillusionment, the various splinter groups ceased active operations or closed entirely by the 1930s. That's all for now. Thank you for watching this brief overview into the Order of the Golden Dawn.